Well, to discuss the issue of femicide here in France and what can be done, I'm pleased to be joined now by Sarah McGrath. She's the CEO of the NGO Women for Women France, which advocates for foreign women facing domestic violence. Thanks very much for your time today. We will come in a moment to your work that your NGO does. But first of all, can I just get your reaction to that shocking news we just heard at the end of the report that 3 women were killed on the first day of this new year? How did you feel hearing that news?
Well, like all people working in our sector, your first feeling is just absolute heartbreak. You think about children growing up without their mothers. You're thinking about parents who have lost their daughter. It's heartbreak. And then it turns very quickly to frustration because things aren't improving. We are seeing the government take so many measures and add new resources, new measures, new protections, and creating a more and more complex system, and the figures aren't dropping. So very quickly, unfortunately, our reaction turns to frustration and a call for reform regarding domestic violence in France.
And how much responsibility do you put on this government in particular? Because when Emmanuel Macron came to power, he said that tackling domestic violence would be a key priority for him. But we've seen more femicides last year than the year before. So it doesn't feel like the government is doing enough.
This government has put in a lot more measures than we've seen the previous government. So we can felicitate them for that. However, the problem is much, much broader. Here in France, we've got a really complex system. Women for Women France, what we do is we try to decode the system and we try to make it understandable for people, for French women and women who aren't from France. It's so complex. There's so much bureaucracy. And while this government and previous governments have added more and more measures in place, and some of them are quite fantastic, what we're doing is we're adding Band-Aid and Band-Aid and Band-Aid on top of a system that is already so complex. So what I think the next step needs to be is we need to look at simplifying this system. It is a monster that we've created. It's really heavy on paperwork, and it's left to the victim to actually go through and navigate the system and ask for help, ask for assistance, and it's not easy to do.
So cut down on paperwork, that's a really tangible thing that you'd like to see put in place. Beyond that, I'm interested in your views on some of the societal challenges we face as well. I mean, I'm thinking of language, because so often we talk about in English, don't we, violence against women rather than male violence, violence conducted by men. Do you think if we were changed the way that we talked about this kind of violence, that would have a real impact on these numbers as well?
I'm delighted to hear you put that forward, and we are absolutely an advocate for changing the language. Violence against women isn't actually getting to the cause of what's causing domestic violence. What's causing domestic violence is a cultural issue. It's men's violence. It's men's humiliation fury that basically refers to a behaviour and a feeling that a male perpetrator will have when they're feeling they're losing control and domination over their partner. So the system is one thing, the justice system is one thing, and we do need to look at reforming it because it's absolutely failing women. But firstly, let's look at that cultural shift. So that's going to take time. We've got to start in schools. We've got to challenge all of our friends, our family. The moment we hear a slightly sexist comment, be that person who speaks up and says, hold on, that's contributing to a sexist environment and a sexist culture, which facilitates this violence against women. But men's violence against women, I'm absolutely for reframing the problem.
Sarah McGrath from the NGO Women for Women France, thanks very much indeed for your time today.